Hey everybody, Mega Ruler 31 back here for FSI DFS. It is Monday, the 15th of August. We've got a really nice 10-game slate here. Seems like Monday slates have gotten bigger. There used to be like 6, 7, 8 games, but um, kind of decent slate here. I think we're in day, I don't know if achievements have updated yet, but it's like either day 129 or 130 of the season. So about 60, 61, maybe 62 days left before we get our Iron Man achievements. So appreciate you continuous to watch us and keep on grinding with us as we wrap up this season here. So uh, yesterday, for the main slate, I really wanted to stack like a Dodger and Houston stack on FanDuel, and I did it. And the only pitcher I could get in was the Marlins guy, and I was like, oh man, this guy's risky. I don't know. He's gone 4 innings a couple times before. He has faced them. I mean, like he doesn't really need to get me that many points here to actually be decent. It was Elder, and he. Funny story is he actually ended up putting up 52 points, which was amazing for his price tag. However, besides a Bregman home run, the lineup did absolutely nothing else. So just one of those days. But overall, it was a pretty profitable weekend for baseball. Nothing too you know much to brag about, but it was profit every single day. Just continue to fill up that bankroll, and hopefully you guys are doing, the girls are doing the same. So let's look at today's slate here. No weather concerns, just maybe a little bit of rain in Chicago and Washington, but it doesn't look like anything super major. So we have Rays going to Yankee Stadium. The Yankees, holy cow, what a month of August for them after being like absolutely on fire. Come back off the All-Star break, and I know they lost Stanton. I know they lost Carpenter. I know Rizzo's had back issues. Um, I know they made some changes with like pitching and stuff after the All-Star break, and like Benintendi for Gallo, which I mean that should have been an upgrade, but like I think in August they're like 3-9 or something, and they're not getting blown out. I mean, most of them have been like 1 or 2 run games, but maybe this is a great, good right spot for them here. So they get Ryan Yarbrough, who has super struggled against right-handed pitching and right-handed hitting, and he is facing a strong right-handed team here. So he's an absolutely no. He goes on the fade list, and you have Garrett Cole on the other side, who I know Cole struggled a little bit, but it looks like Lau's out of the lineup. He's banged up and injured again, and Tampa Bay lineup here is nothing like too super scary. There should be some strikeouts there. It's in um it'd be better if it was in the Rays home park because it's a better pitching stadium, but I still think Garrett Cole is probably the top option on the slate here. Tampa Bay bats would only be a leverage thing, but the Yankees bats, I really like them. LeMahieu might be he's banged up. He might not be in the lineup, which is good because it put a 2-7 Aaron Hicks, who's much better against left-handed hitting or pitching than right-handed pitching, to lead off here. So Judge might skip over Rizzo here, Donaldson, Torres, and if you want to do wraparound stack like Falafa or Trevino usually catches for Cole ever since they switched him and Higgy out in like April. So but whoever catches, if they throw Higgy back in there or something because Cole struggled a little bit, just to see if a new catcher will get him back on track, then either one of them is a great spot there. Next up, we have Cubs in Washington Nationals. And this is kind of funny because this is like a matchup. I believe it was their last games out. They faced each other previously. And Stroman gave up couple of home runs and 2 or 3 runs in that one, and Gray gave up a couple runs also. But the wind's blowing in here. It's about 70 degrees. Like I said, a little bit of rain, but it looks like it's going to end by first pitch. It's like 40% up to first pitch and like 20 some after that. So might need to dry the field a little bit, maybe a slight delay, but I think they're perfectly fine to play here. I think you make a case for either pitcher in the lower range, but I think just I agree, even though he's not like the medium range today is kind of like 8K, but he's 7'9", so he's close enough. Everybody else I think is just a tier below him. So I have him as my favorite medium range pitcher because all the 8K guys that are ahead of him are all question marks in GPP matchups today. So you either want to play up for like these elite four guys, or all these like GPP guys that are in like the 8K range are just really, really questionable. So at 7-9, I think Gray is a great play here. There are strikeouts in this Cubs lineup here. With the weather and everything, I think it favors pitching, and I think it'll be decent here. Stroman on the other side, same thing. Washington is a very watered down lineup. At 7-2, I think there's better options, but I think he's definitely in play if you're playing multi-entry. So bat wise, really not super interested. I mean, the Cubs are relatively cheap, other than like Contreras. Usually, they're just a couple guys in the 4K range, and a lot of guys in like the 2K range. I don't know why Patrick Wisdom is batting like seventh and doesn't even have the splits advantage. Is like 5-5. That's just crazy. So I definitely wouldn't play him in a stack. But there are if maybe a mini stack here. It looks like they picked up Framil Reyes, but he's better against lefties, so I wouldn't play him. So not super excited about the Cubs here. Washington on the other side, same thing. Like if you want to take a one-off or so against Stroman, CJ Abrams might crack the lineup here at 2-1 for a shortstop because of an injury. They got him in the Soto trade from San Diego, so someone to potentially look at there, maybe Yadiel Hernandez, but really not much in this. So I don't think you're going to look at the bats here. Baltimore Orioles and Toronto Blue Jays, again, same story. These guys just faced each other in their last matchup. Bradish got roughed up a little bit, but Ucrucci got destroyed in the first inning. I think he gave like 4 or 5 runs, like 2 or 3 home runs to the Orioles here. So it might be better in his home park here, but you know that's Baltimore Park was supposed to be configured so that you know the outfield is a little bit deeper, not to give up as many runs, and it didn't seem to work the last game for him. So I don't think you really want to play either pitcher. I think they're both on the fade list here. So as for bat wise, I love Baltimore. Like they're relatively cheap here. We'll just have to see what the lineup looks like, because it looks like Mountcastle was injured. He got hit in the hand with a pitch, I believe, and I don't think he's going to be in. So, but you have like McKenna leading off at like 2K, really cheap. But I think the heart you want here is like Rushman, Santander, Hayes. Urias might move up to like the 5th position, and then you know if you want to take some of the one-offs down to make the 5-man stack, that's fine. But I'd say pretty much up at the top here. And Blue Jays on the other side too, I think are a great matchup. Also, Bradish is a reverse splits pitcher, pretty bad. So all the right-handers are in play here, and it looks like they're probably going to throw out, besides Tapia and maybe Biggio if he makes the lineup, a complete right-handed lineup against them. Mets and Braves, you got a decent pitching matchup here. You have Kyle Carrasco and Spencer Strider. Strider struggled a lot recently. I know he's like a really good rookie and like he's got a huge K upside, but the Mets don't strike out. So I think he's only a GPP play here at 8-7. I think you really just want to I don't know. Like, I think with the pricing discount, he's very interesting. He's got a ton of upside for Strider, but I don't know if I want to play him against the Mets here. And same thing with Carrasco, is he's pitched decent recently also. And I think out of the mid-range guys, besides Strider, I put Strider since he's pretty much been a stud in the high section, even though like the pricing's really close here. But Carrasco, I think, is probably the best out of the rest of the 8K guys. But still, against there are strikeouts in this Brave lineup, and if Acuna is banged up too, so if he's not in, he sat yesterday, probably be back today. But if you don't have him there, then I think you really potentially could use him also. But there's so many other better options that we're just talking GPPs here. So Mets bats, I think make an interesting GPP if Strider continues to struggle, and especially like the lefties like Vogelbach and Naquin. Nemo, I definitely look at them. And then maybe Olsen is one off against Contreras, but I really don't like much of the Braves lineup here. Again, GPP, it's fine, but I know they have them in the top stack, but like it was just really hard to figure out bats today. So so I'm not super excited there. Kansas City Royals and the Minnesota Twins. We have Chris Bubik and Joe Ryan. Bubik's another reverse splits guy. He's been better recently, but this Twins team, I mean, they're pretty much right-handed, but I look at the lineups coming up. I can't believe Kepler wouldn't be in it. up higher, just being a lefty. So I'm not playing Bubic here. Joe Ryan, he's been better recently too. 7-3 is a really good price tag. I like Cobb in his matchup against Arizona better, but I think he's definitely, if you want to pay down for SP2, definitely in cash and in in play here. You just really need to get past the top three in this team and maybe Pascual Lito or Vinny Pasco Quantino or however you say his last name. I apologize, Vinny. He's got some power here and starting to show a little bit there. So uh, Royals bats, they're very cheap besides the top three. I mean, you can get the top three in, and then everybody else is like 2K, almost bare minimum stacking with them. So if you want to do that in GPP, that's fine. Against Ryan, he's a good pitcher, but he's not like a stud. And if you look at the other side of it, Minnesota, I just take the lefties here, maybe sprinkle in a couple of the righties, like Correa and Buxton, but I'd pretty much focus on the lefties or the switch hitter and like Polanco here as you build your lineup if you're going to play them in the GPP. But again, these aren't really cash plays. Athletics and Rangers, Caprellian's been better recently, but he does give up a lot of hard contact, so I don't think he's on the board here. Like I left him in the cheap one. If you're playing multi-entry 150 max, I think he could be in play. But I like Glenado on the other side better. Like we just have seen that targeting pitchers against the lower teams this year have just been a very, very good thing to do, no matter who the pitcher is. Because I remember, like I can't remember if it was against Oakland or Detroit or Angels have been pretty bad to Pittsburgh. I think it was against one of them. Like it was like Anibal Sanchez or some guy that we just target as like a gas can, but actually came out and had like 8 strikeouts and had like a masterpiece of a game, first time in like 5 years against one of these lower four offenses. So not a ton of power on Oakland or Detroit team here. So and that's McKinley is like told us to like target Otto plenty of times, and it makes sense, but I don't think of the context here. So if you're looking for again another really cheap SP2, he's only 5'6". You can do that if you want to stack like 2 big teams today, but I'll show you in the stacking section. You can get you can double stack top end pitchers here today and get bats that you really like. So I really don't love anybody today in this slate, bat wise, and it works out for you. So Caprellian, like I said, could be in play. Not super interested. Otto do have some interest in him on DK. Definitely as an SP2. Bat wise, Oakland, like I said, they're cheap, but there's really no power here. If you want to target Otto on a GPP, that's fine. Texas, I really like him. I think they would be the second best one on slate here, just with the hard contact from both sides of the plate. Caprellian's kind of a neutral splits pitcher here, and so it sets up really well for Seager. Simeon's price on FanDuel is like incredibly low. He's only 2.4K. I mean, that is just like highway robbery there. And then like low here is like really cheap, 2.9 on DK. So you can make a pretty nice stack with them. Dodgers and Brewers, you have pretty decent pitching matchup here. You have Urias and Peralta, and Urias is kind of sneaking up on us and becoming like a really decent pitcher recently. I've just been kind of impressed with his numbers, and I just didn't really realize it until I was kind of looking at the box scores when I was doing my research today. So if we look back to like June 12th, 27 DK points, 27 DK points, 30 DK points. He went to Colorado. He had 15. That's understandable. 25 DK points. He had a one blip against the Cubs. It was a Dodger team, so I can't say the wind was blowing on Chicago. It was a -3, but everybody has an off day. But after that, he rattled off a 30, a 25.1, goes into Coors, gets a 21.4, which is good for a pitcher in Coors. 25 and 30 last time out. Been against some bad teams, a lot of San Francisco, but some decent teams in there too. So I think Urias is super solid here. I like him. I know that Milwaukee can be pretty potent at times here, but I think that here he's set up really well. Peralta on the other side, I like him as a pitcher. Like he's kind of like getting back into the rotation and everything here, but I don't think I can play him against the Dodgers. So he's in the GPP. I'm not going to completely rule him out. I've seen the Dodgers, even though they've won like 9 out of like the last 10 and have the best record in baseball, they do have a off game every so often. I think it was a travel day that they're moving out to play Milwaukee here. So I can't remember if they played at LA or if they played in another city, but so maybe move a travel day and stuff and catch him on an off day. So Peralta, you can't completely rule out. He's a decent pitcher. Urias, I really like. The bat wise, I think the Dodgers would be a top GPP stack. And Milwaukee, I'm just putting in a leverage stack because I think Urias should get some ownership and he definitely deserves it there. But I think it's more of a pitching matchup than like liking any of the bats in this game. Again, that's just the theme of the day. Just really don't like the bats. So Houston and the White Sox here, Urquidy and Cueto. Urquidy, severe versus splits guy. Chicago's been Jekyll and Hyde with offense. They've got a lot of righties they can throw at him. So he could do great. He could do horrible. Not going to pay to find out. GPP if you want to. Cueto, same thing. Not a great matchup against Houston. Very patient. Don't walk a lot. Have great power. So he's pitched well, but not going to try him in this matchup. So both pitchers are GPP and both hitters are GPP. Just remember you wanted to play the righties against your quality, not the lefties on the White Sox. Seattle and the Angels, another good pitching matchup here. You have Luis Castillo and Shohei Otani. Otani's been good recently, but he hasn't been great like he's been previously. And Seattle's starting to get healthy and come together. So I don't know if I really want to pay up for Otani. He's the most expensive guy on FanDuel, and he's the most second most behind Cole on DK up in 10K range here. So if Otani was 9K in this matchup, I would consider it. But I think he's a great GPP play. I think he's a great contrarian play. I think he'll have more ownership than he should. He's still a good pitcher. The totals are still low. But I think I'm not going to play him today. Castillo on the other side, I really like. I think he's my second favorite pitcher behind Cole because the Angels have just been horrible. When Otani's doing double duty, like he doesn't usually hit as well. And he's actually been having a down year at the plate also. I know he's been dealing with a forearm injury or something, just playing through the pain, which is great. But the rest of this Angels lineup is just absolute trash. So Castillo sets up to be a great pitcher here. And I think Seattle is very, very intriguing as a leverage stack. I think my second favorite after Arizona, but they might actually be my first favorite, and I'll definitely have a stack of them going on tonight. Final game, we have Bumgarner and Cobb, Arizona at San Francisco. Bumgarner, I mean, it's a long-term revenge game. Like he used to play for San Francisco a while ago, but I don't think it's like something that's really going to factor in here. Could he pull out one of his gems that he does every so often against this team? He could, but San Francisco always platoons really well against them. So I look at the projected lineups, and I just don't think that they realize that he's up against Baumgartner because they have a lot of lefties in here. Because so Wade, Peterson, I know, is banged up. I don't think Yastrzemski, Crawford, they're going to hit that high up. I think you're going to see probably the right-handed bats like stacked up against Baumgartner here. And then as for Arizona, well, Cobb, yes, I think you can play him against Arizona here. I think at 7K, he's my favorite cheap pitcher, be 7K exactly or below. So I think he's definitely in play here, cash or GPP. Arizona bats are super priced up here. They're just coming off cores, and the pricing still reflects that in DK. So I think they're my favorite leverage stacks. They're probably going to have super low ownership, and Cobb definitely can be hit, and San Francisco is not a great ballpark for hitting, but the wind is blowing out 16 to 20 miles per hour, so that should aid it a little bit. So Arizona might be a sneaky leverage stack here. San Francisco, I really like the stack, like especially the righties against Arizona. So let's look at the breakdown. So let me just go over things quickly again. So I said for high, for those who listen to the podcast, I can't see my screen here. The high range pitchers, Cole, Castillo, Urias, our top three by far. Otani is next there, and then Strider, GPP, just has a ton of upside, but concerned against the Mets. Gray is the guy I like the most in the medium range at 7.9 there, and then the rest of the 8K guys a little bit above him. Carrasco, Urquidy, Cueto, Peralta are all risky, GPP only. Cobb I like as a cheap guy. Ryan is 7.3, a little bit more expensive, like him also. Then Stroman, Otto, and Caprillion are in play out of those cheap guys. I think at 5.6, Otto's would be my favorite if you're paying all the way down. Fading Yarbrough, Bradish, Kikuchi, Bubick, and Bumgarner. Top stacks I have, I really can't see top stacks, but it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to rank these. So definitely New York, Texas, and San Francisco I like a lot, and Toronto based on Radish being reverse splits and them having a lot of right-handed bats. I have Atlanta there at 5, but between Atlanta and the Dodgers, I think either one could be GPP here. Houston, again, Cueto's a good pitcher. Chicago White Sox could get to Urquidy. They're in GPP, the righties, Minnesota lefties. And then I have the Mets down just because I respect Strider, but they definitely could be in play as a very good GPP build against him if he continues to have struggle like he did the last couple of games, especially because they're a tough matchup. Baltimore by far my favorite cheap stack, and then if you want Chicago, Washington, Kansas City, or Oakland in GPPs, they're fine, they're cheap, but not super high priorities. Arizona love as a leverage stack. I think with the pricing, nobody's going to play them. Seattle I love against Otani just because they're up and rising, and Otani's declining a little bit. Milwaukee, Tampa Bay, and the Angels will just be leverage stacks against really good pitching. So let's get to the lineup builds, and I'll get you on your way for your day here. So we have for cash, I'm taking Cole and Castillo, and then I'm stacking Baltimore and the Giants. So Rushman, Mountcastle if he's in, if not Belt, if not, I might take a one-off there. Flores, third base, Davis or Longoria, probably Urias fits also. He's probably batting 5th there. Shortstop, whoever fits in, probably take a one-off there. Hayes or Santana or play Bull. Slater should be the right-hander leading off or high up in the order there. Or if you want to take the cheap guy that leads off at 2K and DK for Baltimore, McKenna, that's fine too. For FanDuel, taking Cole, same thing. Rushman, Flores, JD Davis, shortstop, whoever fits in there for you, might want to take a one off. Slater, Hayes, Santander, and then Mountcastle if he's in, I'll put him in utility. If not, I'll probably take another Baltimore bat over the San Francisco bat there. If I can get full stack of both, that's fine. If not, Baltimore's the priority. GPP, taking Urias. I'm going to leave SP2 up to you. You can go all the way down to Otto. I think I end up on Cobb here, or you can get up to like Castillo again with this build here. I'm going to skip catcher. You can play Trevino, you can play Heim, you can play Higgy if he's in there, or take a punt because I'm stacking the Yankees and the Texas Rangers here. So Lau at first base from Texas, Torres, Donaldson from the Yankees at second and third, Seager at shortstop. Love the splits advantage there. Judge and Hicks, I think if DeLemayhew is out, he'll be leading off. If not, he should, even if he's batting 7th or so, Hicks is still a great play. If he's not in, LaCastro, I think the guy from Arizona, if he's in, he's usually cheap at 2K. You can plug him in there and then just figure out if you want to go like Garcia or Tavares or whoever in outfield to finish the stack there. And then however you play catcher and outfield is going to predicate who you play for your SP2 there. But there's a lot of great pitchers in different ranges for GPP. And then for FanDuel, I'm taking Gray as my pitcher from Washington, and then taking Torres, Donaldson, Seager, and Judge, kind of the same core as I did for DK there. First base, if we get up to Rizzo, that's fine. But I might take Lowe there from Texas, or we'll just have to see how the lineups come out. Maybe I'll take the catcher Heim or Torres. There's so many places you can go on FanDuel at first base there. So I think Lowe is probably what I prefer out of them, Lowe or Rizzo there, if I don't finish the Yankee stack with an outfield with Hicks. But obviously Judge an outfield. Simeon, you have to play him. I think you want Torres and Simeon. Simeon is only 2-2. So that's everything I got for you today. So appreciate you watching the video. Leave the comments below. You can reach out to me at Twitter at Megaworth31 if you have any questions. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel so you know when the video is coming out. And if you want more information on FSI DFS, you can find it in the description of the video. So good luck in your contests today. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time.